Now, I sat for my first JAMB exam when I was in high school. That is the last year in my high school. And I actually did because a number of my classmates were going in for it. That is, I had no reason exactly why I was going in for it. So I just had to go because they were going in for it. And the turnout wasn't beautiful. I had a score of 193, which wasn't good enough to gain admission into the university. And the funny thing is that these my classmates who went in for the same exam did so well, and they were able to gain admission into the university to study their respective courses. While I waited to sit for my next JAMB exam, I pondered on a few things which turned out to be the game changer for me. Not only did I get admission into the university to study the course I had always wanted to study, but these tips helped me a lot when I gained admission into the university to become the best student in my first year. And they didn't just stop there. I shared these tips with a friend who finally had a score of 281, and then he gained admission into the university to study medicine and surgery. So I guarantee you that if you stick around to the end of today's video and you implement these tips I'm going to share with you, there's high chances that you'll gain admission into the university to study any course of your choice. My name is Nnamdi. I'm a first-class graduate of chemical engineering from the University of Uyo, and my aim is to help you achieve academic excellence on this channel. Now, without wasting much time, let's get right into the business of the day. Now, one of the most underrated factors when it comes to having a high score in JAMB is your burning desire. And this comes from your reason for having a high score in JAMB. If you don't have a burning desire for something, especially something that's very huge, you won't get it. So what exactly is your reason for having a high score in JAMB? Now, we all know that if you have a score of 300 and above in JAMB, there's a very high tendency that you'll gain admission into the university to study any course you want to study. But then, what is your reason? Like, why exactly do you want to get into the university? Now, this varies among individuals. My reason for getting into the university may be different from yours and may be different from the person by your side. So you have to figure out exactly why you need to get admission into the university. This is one thing you really have to figure out, make it really clear, and try as much as possible to achieve that. Now, it could be that you have a certain time you want to be done with school, and because of this, you need to start early enough so that you can finish at that set time. Or it could also be that you want to make your parents proud because your parents have been looking up to you. They want you to get into the university to, be educated. It could be that you want to make them happy, you want to make them proud. Or it could even be that you want to join your friends at the university. It's very possible. Or it could be that you want to pursue a certain career, and so because of that, you need to start as soon as possible. Yes, that could be a reason, a very strong reason. Now, whatever the reason is, just have a clear picture, a clear mental picture of it, and try as much as possible to remind yourself constantly of these reasons why you have to be in school. But that's the reason why you have to keep yourself focused. You have to constantly remind yourself of this reason why you have to get into the university to study so and so course. Tip number 2, that you need to understand that there are no two ways to success in JAMB. If you must have a very high score in JAMB, there's only one route, and that is to study. All these top scorers, they worked hard. Although you wouldn't see what they have done on the back end, but they really worked hard to achieve whatever score they've achieved, especially all these people who have had scores above 300. They really worked hard. Some began working when they were in SS2 or when they began in SS1. So they worked really hard to achieve scores beyond 300.
I started preparation for the JAMB exam immediately I entered SS3.
Okay.
I started reviewing past questions, just reading my books.
So if you must have a score beyond 300 or have a very great score, then you must study. That is just the only thing. You have to realize that that's the only thing you have to do. Don't be deceived by all these people who make fake promises and tell you that, oh, if you give me money, I'll help you gain admission into the university, I'll give you so and so score. They will only deceive you, and in the end, you lose out on both ends. Firstly, your money will be gone, and secondly, you wouldn't be able to gain admission into the university. Or if you do, you may just be lucky. This was one thing that really helped me because I realized that if I have to get this, then I have to study. So I planned myself very well. I planned, and then I just had to sit down and then work really hard to have a score of over 300. Tip number 3 is your mindset. Your mindset is one strong tool that determines what you get, what your results will be. Not just academically, but anything at all you engage yourself in. Your mindset is one strong tool that determines what your results will be like. You can never be a top scorer when you feel you don't deserve to have a high score. It's not possible, because it will limit your actions and you wouldn't be able to do things you ought to do to achieve that. There is something mysterious about the mind. Now, in this case now, if you see yourself as a top scorer or someone who has a score of above 300, unconsciously, you begin to do things, you begin to work hard, you begin to do things top scorers do. You begin to work really hard and then put yourself in that place of having a score of above 300. You begin to meet people and then people begin to come around you, people who will help you. And the thing is that you work hard, and in some cases, you may be oblivious of these sacrifices you make. You may work really hard and you may not even be conscious of the efforts you put in to achieve all of this you achieve. When I had a score of 193 and waited to sit for the next JAMB exam, at that point now, I really wanted to gain admission into the university. And so because of this, I began to see myself as a top scorer, unconsciously though. I saw myself like a top scorer. And because of this, I began to do things like a top scorer. I began to do things normally. I read so hard, I worked hard, I worked past questions, I did my textbooks and all of that. And I saw myself as someone who could study so well and earn a very high score. I saw myself like a top scorer and it affected me positively. And finally, it yielded fruit. And I was able to have a score of 317. Tip number 4 is time management. Now, every successful student you know or you must have come across are good time managers. Go and check. Every successful student are good time managers. Well, some try to draft their plan on papers. They try to draft it out and then make their plans on papers. While some just, have this plan upstairs. They don't just want to have it written down on their papers. But whichever way, they are good time managers. So if you must have a good score in JAMB, if you must have a very high score in JAMB, you also must have to be a good time manager. And you have to realize that if you must have a high score in JAMB, you must have high scores in all the 4 subjects. You can never have up to 300 if you have less than 50 in 2 of your subjects. It's not possible. So you must have high scores in all the subjects. You know yourself and you know the subjects you're deficient in. So you need to plan yourself properly such that you'll be able to have high scores in all the 4 subjects. In my case, English was the subject I had the most problem with. So because of this, I shuffled other subjects and I made English a constant subject to be studied across the days of the week. So I studied English every day, while for the other 3 subjects I shuffled. And that was because I understood that English was the problem I had among the subjects I'll be sitting for in JAMB. And I think you should do the same thing. You know yourself actually, and then you know the courses or the subjects you have problems with. You may not really have so much problem with them, but then at least among the 4 subjects, this is the subject you have the most problem with. So plan yourself in such that you allocate so much time to this subject, and also draft your timetable. And when you draft your timetable, be faithful towards your timetable and be able to study when you need to study. Study according to your timetable. Now, I understand things may just come up, things we don't plan on may just come up. But then try as much as possible to avoid anything that would tamper with the time you've spent or the time you've allocated for your studies. Also, avoid procrastination. This is one big killer. Avoid procrastination. Do things when you need to do them, and don't just keep shifting because you may feel like you have so much time on your side. So with this, we've come to the end of today's video, and these are the tips that really helped me well to smash above 300 in my JAMB exam. And I believe that if you implement these tips, they are going to be a game changer for you. If you found value in this content, please do me a favor. Support this channel by liking and then subscribing to the channel. So until next time, take care.